Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Procure Smarter podcast. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we are going to be talking to Mrs. Hope White. She is a container expert. I think we can all agree that we could like a little more knowledge in what's happening in the container world. Stay tuned for that. As always, this episode is sponsored by me, ProcureSmart, the purchasing agency. We specialize in FF&E, OS&E for the hospitality industry. If you have a new conversion, renovation, new construction, and you need a purchasing agency, please reach out to us. We would love to work with you. Stay tuned, everybody. Everybody, we're back. We are talking to Mrs. Hope White today. She is an expert on all things containers. She knows other things too, so we're going to dig into that. But we want to know what's happening in the world out there with the containers, and I think she has some answers. She also has a pretty interesting backstory, so I'm going to get her to tell that too. So hi, Hope, how are you?
Hi, Sharon. How are you doing? Doing wonderful.
I'm good. Introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right, so my name is Hope White. I am the CEO and founder of HD White Logistics and HD Dredge Container Services out of Metter, Georgia. My specialty is dredge, storage services, and warehousing and cross-docking.
Which is so on point for what the world needs right now, right? I'm hoping absolutely. You have some answers for us.
Look, even the experts who have the answers don't have the answers given the current circumstances. Yeah.
Right. All right. Yeah. Now, I want to start with a little bit of your backstory because you have a very interesting backstory. Did you not start out as a police officer?
Good Lord, girl, you dug that up. Yes,
I
did. I am former law enforcement. Almost 7 years. I started off just general patrol, worked my way up to gang task force briefly, and then ended my career working with the state Department of Revenue for alcohol and tobacco division.
Amazing. Now, this was all in Atlanta?
Yes. Well, my law enforcement career actually started in Albany, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, and then alcohol and tobacco, yes, Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's on an interview you did. One of the reasons that you got out of law enforcement was that you had babies that came along.
Yes.
And you were looking for something a little less dramatic.
Yeah, absolutely. The times have changed tremendously, just across the board on both sides of the spectrum. And so with me being a mother, I have a 20-year-old, a 15-year-old, and now 6-year-old twins. Law enforcement was definitely not for me anymore. I needed to a longer term.
Well, listen, first of all, thanks for the years that you did put in. That's amazing. When I heard that you were in the gang task force, I was like, God, this woman is amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes I would be first woman in, last woman out, which means I was kicking doors in.
You're a badass. Look at you.
Yeah, I'm a badass. Yeah, I kick some doors and kick some ass too.
That's amazing. Okay. All right. So we had some babies come along and then you decided to move along from that. So where did you go next?
Yeah, so transitioned into actually supply chain. Started off briefly working in Home Depot stores on the retail side, and then transitioned into their direct fulfillment center in Locust Grove, Georgia.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Now, so I love people, like when I started out in supply chain, I took a little tiny part-time temp job at Hitachi Electronics in the purchasing department.
Okay.
And 22 years later, here I am doing what I do. So I love people who are like, listen, I started at Home Depot. You never know what the career path is going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Home Depot. I actually started for the gardening center. I was living in the country at the time in grandparents' house. I was trying to get some little supplies and stuff like that.
Little discount.
Yeah, full discount. But I actually took a liking to Home Depot, their culture of how they treat their associates, the ability to grow fairly quickly within the company. I like that about it. So I actually stuck with Home Depot from there.
That is amazing. All right. Now, what about supply chain? Was it one of those things that you just kind of, you learn something, then you learn something else, and then you learn something else, and the next thing you know, you're in supply chain?
Yeah, absolutely. So supply chain is definitely not for the faint at heart. One thing, my reason for choosing law enforcement was that I love to solve problems and help people. And supply chain is like and similar in nature. It's always a problem
Yes.
and always needs someone to fix it, and you're also helping the next person along the chain. And so that's why supply chain became such a big part of my career moving forward, because it fit me.
I love
Yeah.
that. I do love the piece I love about what I do is that there's always a fire to be put out. There's always
Yeah.
a puzzle that needs to be fixed.
Yes,
And
always a
it's
piece to puzzle.
challenging.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. My daughter, she works with me, and my conversation to her on a daily basis is that we're not logistics experts, but more so firemen, fire women. We put out
Exactly,
fires every
exactly.
day. Yeah,
All right. Okay, so your niche is port work and
yeah,
containerized cargo.
that's right.
Um,
Dredge services and port work. That's correct.
and listen, there is no hotter topic today
Yeah,
than where are the containers?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I actually did a podcast episode a few months ago titled "Where Are the Containers?" And I did some
Mhm.
research on it, but I would love to hear from your perspective. What's happening in the world of containers? Narrow it down for me a little bit. What are our big challenges?
So our biggest challenges right now is definitely the steamship lines are overbooked to capacity. And so, we see all these new shipping lines picking up right now, but the previous issue was that we didn't have enough shipping lines for the amount of volume that we're bringing over into our supply chain. The next challenge I feel is just the overconsumption of goods right now by consumers. E-commerce is through the roof. People at home, they're buying more online as well as in stores, and so those goods are just just backing up.
Right.
And then the other challenge we have, of course, is not enough truck driver ratio to the amount of volume that we have coming out of the ports. And then the next challenge is once it actually gets out of the port, where we're going to put it,
Right.
which brings us to the next uh, problem, which is storage internally and externally. It's not just an external issue, it's also an internal issue because warehouses, from the climate control and dry perspective, are running out of space.
Okay, that's a lot.
I'm
That's a
sorry.
lot. No, no, that's a lot of challenges. But you're right on where I thought we were going to go with this call.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's talk about the first issue. Is there are more freight carriers coming online? Is that right?
absolutely. There are more steamship lines that are coming online, and customers also chartering their own steamship lines to bring their containers over.
All right. Now, I have been in procurement 24 years. I know a little bit, but only enough to make somebody like you crazy.
Yeah,
What I'm the one on the phone that's like, I don't know, explain it to me again.
yeah.
But there is something about shipping lanes, right? Like there's like
Mhm.
all of our shipping lanes are kind of being consumed.
Yeah.
And I had heard, and this might be folklore, that
Mhm.
Walmart and Amazon have got those lanes locked up.
That is an accurate assessment to some of the facts that's out there. They stepped ahead of everyone prior to all of the locking of the supply chain, and kind of basically prepared themselves based upon their sales and their data in place.
Yeah.
So they have kind of cornered, relationships with some of the steamship lines to where their goods are still coming through the pipeline seamlessly. Yeah.
Okay. Nothing that they did. I don't think nothing that they did wrong. They saw
Yeah.
what was happening and they
Yeah,
jumped in there.
they
Um,
prepared. They
they
prepared for
prepared,
what's
but
going
that
on.
does
Absolutely.
leave the rest of the world going,
Abs-
listen, I need a boat.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what do
And
you what do you recommend people do?
so definitely I have some clients now that are seeking out their own transit services for ocean cargo. And they're just chartering their own boats from wherever they need them from to our locations.
See, I did not
And
even know that was an option.
yeah, it is an option for you as a customer to find your own ocean transportation and find a privatized um, cargo ship for
And
your
is
for
it
your
a
freight.
lot like how a container works? If I have a shipment in Asia and I don't have a full container, I can piggyback that container.
Yeah.
Is it like that? I don't, if I need a boat and I
Mhm.
have 20 containers, but my boat will hold 40. Can I combine them?
You can combine them, but it just depends on what the steamship line tells you their capabilities are for pickup and drop off. You have to kind of go along with what the steamship line says. You can't tell them. It's not like a taxi cab. Hey, take me over here, take me over there. It just
Yeah.
depends on where that steamship line originates.
All right. And I would assume that somebody like you would be the best person to walk me through that process. Is that right?
Absolutely, I can definitely assist with that. It's not my expertise, but I do have partners and teammates that I work with that can assist for that. Mhm.
Nice. All right. Let's talk about drivers. Now, I have heard there is a driver shortage. And I wonder, is this because of the great resignation that everybody's talking about? Is there just so much product? There's not enough drivers. Did the drivers leave? What happened to our drivers?
So it's kind of a twofold issue here with drivers. It's not necessarily all the time that we just don't have enough drivers. It's just that the amount of volume of freight from the last 5 years has almost quadrupled to what we previously seen for truckload transport as well as FCL full container loads. That has almost quadrupled.
Right.
So the amount of drivers that's in place in the seat, they can't keep up. It's just no way. No one. It's just very difficult. The other challenge is our more seasoned drivers who are more temperamental with dealing with, supply chain issues or backups or other issues that's coming up. They have retired. They have gone on to other things. They're no longer in the seat. So the type of drivers we have in play now are less tolerant of the current circumstances and more open to rejecting certain lanes if it does not meet their financial needs or the feasibility of what they wanting to do.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that creates the perception that we're short on drivers, but I think it's a little bit deeper than that. Than we're short. It's that people are being more selective about what they will and what they want to do.
And did I hear correctly? You may not know this, but did I hear correctly a couple of months ago that there was a law change that allowed drivers to drive longer
Yeah,
to try to combat this issue?
absolutely. There were some implementations in the rules and regulations surrounding extended hours for the drivers to be able to accommodate the congestion in supply chain.
Wow. So that's kind of, I can see where that would be a good thing, but I've worked with drivers a long time in the warehouse. It puts a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Even with the hour, extension there, they're still tired. You're running them a lot. They still have family time, home time, personal time that they need to attend to. So it doesn't necessarily mean just because you extend the hours, they're more willing to do that. Work-life balance still has to happen for drivers.
Right. I agree. Okay. Let's talk about your final piece, the warehouse. Now I have heard and I have seen when I have tried to contract for warehouse that there is less available warehouse space because so much product is coming in. It can't go to the shelves automatically. It is going into warehouse and it is taking up our space.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In my market, Savannah market, around October, November, we were 14 million square feet short of what is needed for this region just to support the amount of inbound import containers that were coming in. Since then, that number has increased by 5%, and don't see any way of slowing down anytime soon because the spaces that's needed are currently in construction. So freight is not slowing down, of course. So yeah, definitely that's going to be an issue for a while.
Do you know what our construction schedule looks like to get more space? Or is it 2022, 2023, 2024?
Well, Savannah, and where I'm located along a lot of the main freight corridors here, there's probably about 30, 40 different mega facilities that's being built. And I'm talking about 1.5, 2 million, 3 million square foot facilities to be able to accommodate the amount of cargo that's coming in. But also some of those facilities are being manned by new manufacturers and distributors that's coming into the state. So the privatized section for warehousing and storage is still a miss of the necessary space that's needed. So that's us, the 3PLs coming in, providing that additional storage is still needed.
So that brings up 2 points though. What is it doing to cost? If there's very little space and you have a project, what are you paying for that space?
Oh yeah. So yeah, cost for warehousing is almost name your price at this moment, just as well as it is for drays. Of course, it's not very intentional at the moment, but just the to be available to a customer, they're gonna have to pay a premium cost right now. So the rates have, in some regards, doubled and tripled. Um, some of my counterparts are actually accepting deposits for space a year to 18 months in advance, just to
Really?
ensure that they have the customers ensuring that they have that space. Absolutely. One of my counterparts is has a customer that has prepaid him for his new space that he has not fully finished yet, and that's about 300,000 square feet.
Wow. And is it, what is happening with containers is it's the highest bid in
Yeah,
a lot of cases. I
absolutely.
in the last project I worked on, my
Mhm.
container cost started out at $2,800 a container.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I ended up at 19,000 a container by the
19,000.
end of
Yeah,
the project.
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what's happening with warehouse space?
Absolutely. It's the same thing. And then on the opposite side of the warehousing space, landlords, if you're not purchasing your space, if you're leasing your space, they're actually auctioning off your leases here 6 to 8 months out before it's time for it to renew, just because they know they can get a higher price and it's increasing that quickly. Yeah.
Right. So if your project goes over schedule, your space may not be there.
Your space may not be available and you're looking at getting another space. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
So you're literally faced and tasked with locking into a smaller space for a longer period of time that may not actually benefit you, just so you can ensure that you have somewhere for your clients to be able to do business.
And is that the new norm, or do you think this is a temporary problem?
I can't really say, because what I thought would taper off just at the first of the year, not necessarily volume wise, but just some of the behaviors. I don't see those going anywhere here for at least another 12 to 18 months. And it's just based upon several different factors. I just don't see it going anywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
I actually did hear, at least on the container side, get comfortable because
yeah, get
this is
comfortable.
this is where you're going to be at 18,
Yeah,
24 months out.
absolutely, absolutely. It's when you seeing what 2, 3 thousand new shipping lines popping up monthly,
Wow.
that's insane.
Well, and Hope, this is something the buyers really need to be aware of because we have owners out there who are going to renovate or going to or do conversions. And they are being hit with massive sticker shock.
Yeah.
I just bid a project a couple days ago and I
Mhm.
put 25% down for freight and warehousing.
Yeah.
In the past, freight was 8%.
8%. Yes, girl. And it is not that now. It's
Yeah,
so my competitor, and I can share this, he's at 40%.
40%.
He's at 40%.
Dang. Oh my God, that makes my heart race a little bit. It's not
At
my money, but
40%.
when you have to tell an owner, listen, this is what's happening,
Yeah.
it's a real
Yeah.
hit to their budgets.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I mean, who's going to end up catching that is the consumers who are actually doing the purchasing.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking you're getting a good deal with all these sales and products and new innovative items that's coming out, what you're doing is just wrapping it right back around to you, because it's going to come up when you get ready to go buy eggs and they're $5 a carton, or you get to go buy that new television and it's going up an additional $500-600. Those costs are just wrapping right back around in the chain and coming right back to you.
Interesting point. I agree. I think that's exactly what we'll see happen. Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I saw is that relationship building is important to you in your company.
Oh yeah, relationship building is probably my number one asset for me as an individual and a businesswoman. It can almost cripple me sometimes. I'll be completely transparent, but it is definitely a skill that has helped me climb fairly quickly in logistics.
And a skill that can get lost
Yeah,
in the fight for dollars. People
yeah.
sometimes forget there's a
Mhm.
human on the other side of that screen.
Yeah. So I struggle with balance between the dollars and the relationship, but the relationship aspect of it is key if you are willing, or you wanting to have long-term relationships and partnerships with your customers. I see that in sales, it's all about, like you said, making the calls, making the sales, hitting the goals, but then what comes next once you actually acquire the customer? What happens after that? How do you maintain that relationship? And I think that's a lost art in today's society with innovation and technology, growth, venture capital and all this good stuff. All that gets lost in the sauce of the actual relationship and connection that you have with your customer. Because ultimately, for me, my concept is that the money will come with the relationship, so long as the customer feels that you're taking care of them, they will take care of you.
I agree. Now, as a woman business owner to a woman business owner, how do you build that relationship? In the age of a fast answer, a quick email, a text, like how do
Yeah.
you build that relationship up?
Yeah, so for me, before I even contact someone, I need to know who I'm talking to. So I do a little bit of research, and that may be, of course, Google.
Yeah,
To
yep.
find out, and with Google, I'm not looking for information that a third party may have put out per se, but more so what the customer themselves have put out about their company. So news releases, um, interviews that they've done on news stations, just events that they're hosting. I'll kind of do a little bit of research there. And then it's very important you understand the right point of contact when you're reaching out to your customer. I think that's the other challenge that most small business owners have, is that we just want to reach out to anybody.
Right. A body. We just want a body.
A body, yeah. It could not be the right person that can actually help you or give you the right resources. So the next part of building a relationship is finding out exactly who you need to speak with, and being prepared to have that conversation. That's the other aspect of it. Building relationship is twofold. You don't just go to the client about what you can do for them, but more so listening to what their challenge is, their problem is, and already having a solution for them. They get sold every day, all day, but more so being empathetic, leading with empathy when you're trying to build that relationship.
Yeah, I agree. And I think being genuine,
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
being a genuine human being,
Absolutely.
be interested in what their problems are.
Yeah.
Don't go at it the hard pitch.
Yeah.
I'm very big on LinkedIn, and
Yeah.
at least twice a day, Hope,
Yeah.
somebody's like, let me sell you something.
Yeah,
And I'm like, you
girl.
don't even know me.
I'm so sick of those. I didn't even know LinkedIn allowed the DM sale thing, but
Yeah.
it is so inappropriate for me. I mean, I don't like it. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I
be
don't
100.
either.
I don't like it. Please don't message me about selling me nothing or partner. I don't even like to be partnered with. Don't even reach out to me that way. But that's the way of what's going on, and that loses the connection of the relationship with the customer, and then you as the provider. But going forward, if we could just learn how to lead with empathy and shoot it straight, I think that's probably one of my biggest selling points, is that I don't sugarcoat nothing. I almost said a cuss word. I kept it straight. I think people see the sincerity and transparency in myself. I don't put on frills and thrills that I'm this big, large company. I give you exactly what I have.
I agree. And I respect that because I'm in the same boat. Like
Yeah.
I am who I am.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a little rough around the edges, but you
Yeah,
are
girl.
always going to get the truth from me.
You always gonna get the truth. I'm always gonna shoot it straight, and I'm gonna do my best. If I can't do it, then I'm gonna be honest and say, hey, listen, we just can't do this. This ain't what we can
Right.
do.
All
Yeah.
right. So you told me about some pastimes.
Yeah.
And one of them is you are a water sign.
Yep.
And you love all things lake, ocean, pond.
Yep.
Tell me about your hobby.
So, of course, most people who know me, I fish. I'm a fisherwoman. I have a pond actually across from my facility. I haven't been now in months. I've been bogged down in work, but when I first came down here, that was kind of like a sign from God for me that I was supposed to be here, because there's a
Nice.
pond there. So I enjoy fishing, swimming, going to the beach, anything of that nature. And I'm actually doing a deep sea fishing tour, excursion, I'm sorry, in the spring that I actually won at an event. So I'm excited about that.
Now, where are you going?
Down in Savannah.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
girls, for myself and 5 of my friends. And we're going to go out for a day and do some deep sea fishing, see what we come up with.
So I've been deep sea fishing once. I am not a fishing girl, but I will tell you, I have a sister in Raleigh
Okay.
who loves to fish.
Yeah.
Loves it. I don't understand it, but
Yeah.
she could do it all day long, every
Yeah.
day. She loves to go out to the lake and she loves to go
Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah.
And my husband got this little bug in his bonnet. And he's like, I'd like to try deep sea fishing.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago in January, we went to
Mhm.
Myrtle Beach
Yeah.
and I booked an excursion. And girl, I froze my butt off. Froze my butt off.
Yeah, I think I get fishing from my grandmother. My grandmother used to take me fishing when I was a child. And so it's something I remember as being a calming pastime. It's just the patience of sitting there and the thrill of the catch. But once you actually get a bite, you're excited to get them in and all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff there. So I think that's just something that soothes me and also teaches me patience.
It's
Mhm.
nice that you have that.
Yeah.
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 Hope,
Yeah.
thanks so much. This has been
You're welcome.
so interesting, so
Awesome. You're welcome.
educational. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
doing it.
You're very
Let
welcome.
people know how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so you can find me at www.hdwhitelogistics.com or on Instagram at hdwhitelogistics. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, Hope White, or on LinkedIn at hdwhitelogistics.
Hope, thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Sharon.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was Hope White. Wasn't she amazing? She had so much amazing information to give us. Stay tuned. We have more guests coming up in season 2 that I think you guys will really enjoy. If you like this podcast, the content we're putting out, please support us. Please follow us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, if you have a project and you need expert FF&E procurement, please think of us. We would love to work with you. All right, everybody, have a great day.